Hey everyone, it's another week of Holy Word and Hotrods. I don't know if anybody's paying attention to any of these. I haven't seen anybody say anything, so I'm just going to keep doing it because I can. Anyway, I didn't talk a lot about the Hot Rod last week. I'll fill a little bit more in this week. But this week's lesson I want to talk about gentle evangelism. We so often think that Christians have to force feed Christ into others. But the reality is that there are a lot of verses that talk about the way we live our lives. Should set that example. It doesn't mean that we should step aside and not stand up for who we are and not be who we are, but it means to not be forceful in the way that we do things. I want to read today out of 1 Thessalonians 2, 1 through 16. And I want to read out of the Message Bible today. It says, "So friends, it's obvious that our visit to you was no waste of time. We had just been given rough treatment in Philippi, as you know, but that didn't slow us down. We were sure of ourselves in God and went right ahead and said our piece, presenting God's message to you defiant of the opposition. God tested us thoroughly to make sure that we were qualified to be trusted with this message. Be assured that when we speak to you, we're not after a crowd approval, only God's approval. Since we've been put through that battery of tests, we guaranteed that both we and the message are free of error, mixed motivations, and hidden agendas. We never used words to butter you up. No one knows that better than you. And God knows we never used words that was a smokescreen to take advantage of you. Even though we had some standing as Christ's apostles, we never threw our weight around or tried to come across as important with you or with anyone else. We weren't aloof with you. We took you just as you were. We were never patronizing nor condescending, but we cared for you the way a mother cares for her children. We loved you dearly, not content to just pass on a message. We wanted to give you our hearts, and we did. You remember us in those days, friends, working our fingers to the bone, up half the night, moonlighting so you wouldn't have to burden the supporting us while we proclaim God's message to you. You saw with your own eyes how discreet and courteous we were among you, and keen sensitivity to you as fellow believers. And God knows we weren't freeloaders. You experienced it all firsthand. With each of you, we were like a father with his child, holding your hand, whispering encouragement, showing you step by step how to live well before God, who called upon us into his own kingdom, into his delightful life. And now we look back on all of this and thank God, the artesian well of thanks. When you get the message of God we preached, you didn't pass it off as just one more human option or opinion, but you took it to heart as God's true word for you, which it is. God himself at work in you believers. Friends, do not realize that you followed in the exact footsteps of the churches of God in Judea. Those who were the first to follow the footsteps of Jesus Christ. You got the same bad treatment for your countrymen as they did from theirs. The Jews who killed the Master Jesus, to say nothing of the prophets, and followed it up by running us out of town. They make themselves offensive to God and everyone else by trying to keep us from telling people who've never heard of God how to be saved. They made a career of opposing God and have gotten mighty good at it. But God is fed up, ready to put an end to it. Paul talks about, in this case, talks about how he talked to fellow Christians. But if you look at that and you look deeper into it, you look into several other things that Paul was going through at the time, you realize that Paul was trying to say that to anybody, to go with an open heart, with love, with compassion, with care, with concern, going to someone with the proper and respectful of who they are, what they're walking through, and what God would have to say to them. A lot of times, being godly and being a Christian isn't hammering someone with what your own judgments are, because we're not supposed to judge. It's a matter of listening to what God says and following it. Because each person is different. Each person is going to accept Christ differently in their lives. The most important thing is for us to live a life according to God, to live by example. There are so many Christians, people that claim to be Christians, that don't live a life for Christ. And Monday through Saturday, they live upon the world, and then on Sunday and sometimes Wednesdays, they go into church and say hallelujah, hallelujah, and the next day at work, they're cussing up a storm. I can list several people that I know specifically that live that life, that say, I'm a Christian, and in the same sentence, use the F-bomb. I would never judge somebody and say that that person isn't going to heaven. I wouldn't say they're going to hell. It's not my judgment. And it shouldn't be any of ours as Christians. Us as Christians should love, should share what God has in our hearts, but not in a way that's condemning, not in a way that is belittling, not in a way that's condescending. Paul specifically said that he didn't come in a way that was condescending or belittling or anything like that. Paul came out of love. And even if you look at Christ's example, Christ was true to what he said, but he didn't come like a bulldozer. He came like a father. He came like someone who loved. He came like a father wanting the best for his children. Never second guessing himself, never second guessing what God had, but also understanding the heart of man and understanding how fallible we are and how stubborn we can be. Christ is always the ultimate example, but if we look throughout the Word, we find men and women of God who lived a life of God and yet presented that graciously to others. It's so hard for us today to show what a Christian truly is. It's easy for us to condemn. It's easy for us to point fingers. It's easy for us to do all those things that are human nature. And yet, that's what gives Christians a bad name. That's why a lot of the reasons why we are where we are today in the predicament that we are, in the corner that Christians have been placed. It's because we don't set an example. I heard one atheist say that if a very famous atheist said once that if all Christians came to him saying that they were wanting to save his life, that they loved him enough that they wanted to save him from the car that was going to hit him, which is living a sinful life, quote unquote. If we as Christians treated others like showing them love and the fact that we want to keep them from getting hit by the oncoming bus, there would be a difference in the way that we did things. Unfortunately, we want to save people by standing on the outside. We don't want to be part of their lives. We don't want to be loving and compassionate about the way they feel and what they're walking through in life. We want to hammer them with everything that we've got. Doesn't mean that we step aside with what we believe, because I'm always wanting to represent Christ the best way. But I'm human. Every Christian's human. You so often get churches that hurt people because people are people. People make mistakes. People don't live a life of Christ. Not everybody that's in church that claims to be a Christian is a Christian. And so I just encourage everybody to live a life for God by being that example, by living a life all the time, no matter what you do. God gives us rules and regulations, but in the same sense, He wants us to hear Him in everything that we do. There's a lot of things that are vague, but our hearts, our spirits, that's what tells us what we need to do. And I encourage everybody to, when you go forth, when you go out, don't be a Christian on Sunday and then turn your back on Him on Monday. Live it every day. Tell everybody, let everybody know by what you do, your actions, the love that you show. Let that be the example of what Christians truly are. Let's wash away all this, the different things that we've betrayed, the judgments that we're not supposed to have, the hatred, the bigotry, the everything that has become what churches are today. Let's set ourselves an example of what Christ taught us to be, which is much more. I will share Scarlet, which is what's in the garage at the moment. Probably tonight I'll be doing a lot of work on the body, because I have done the front axle. I've got the brakes started, just about done. I've got to put some pieces on before the brakes can completely be done. And I've got to get some brake nuts because I'm missing the nuts to hold everything together. Got the radiator in place. I've got the electric fan in place. All the new bracketry done. I've got the frame all complete, all except for the extension on the rear. And tonight I will start working on the cowl and all the bodywork to go on here, because my hope is tomorrow to get it up on the body so I can drill the holes to mount it. So that's where she sits right now. The engine is right here. You can see she's in pieces, but I've got to tear it apart before I put it back together again, as we're putting I'm putting all new bearings and gaskets in it. I replaced the gaskets years ago, but it's been sitting in the garage for a while. Fairly safe, but I want to go ahead and redo it. Put a new oil pump, put a new fuel pump. I've got new pulleys going on it that are shorties to fit the racing water pump, and we're putting a mild cam in it to give it a lope to make it sound mean. and we're putting 6-to-1 ratio valve or rockers on it, and we're going to paint it a unique color. So we're excited about that. Going to go with some really pretty valve covers and oil pan, and yeah, so that's where we sit with the motor. It's going to be a while before I can order the parts that I need for it, so I'll take it apart and build what I can and put it together. Set it in the where it's supposed to be. Get that all ready. Go from there. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you have a great week. I love y'all, every single one of my family and friends, and God bless you. Peace out. All that other stuff. See you. Bye.